Welcome back to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into this incredibly powerful story about how, those tiny, seemingly insignificant daily habits actually compound into massive success. Seriously, if you've ever felt like your dreams are just way too big, or maybe you're stuck in just not making enough forward progress, this one is absolutely for you. Let's get right into it.
I actually want to kick things off by throwing a question your way. What will today's choices do for your future? Just let that sink in for a second. It's a super simple question, right? But honestly, it's incredibly heavy. This is actually the exact question that a father asked his son in our source material today. And it's a question that completely altered the trajectory of this young man's life. Honestly, it's something we should all probably be asking ourselves every single morning before we even start our day.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the goal that changed everything.
And this brilliantly illustrates where our story begins. The source text takes us down to Texas, where we meet a 17-year-old named Ethan. Now, Ethan wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He didn't have any magical industry connections, nothing like that. But what he did have was this massive, sky-high dream. He wanted to become an aerospace engineer and literally build spacecraft. No big deal, right? But here's the everyday friction he was facing. He had to somehow balance this incredibly lofty ambition against the reality of, being a teenager. Which, let's be honest, usually meant going for the immediate, easy dopamine hit, playing video games for hours on end with his friends. It's that classic age-old human battle, what we want right now versus what we want most.
Which brings us to Section 2, Building the Daily Rule.
So, Ethan realized pretty early on that relying purely on willpower, that just wasn't going to cut it. You can't just bridge that massive gap between a cosmic dream and the living room couch with good intentions alone. He needed a real system to combat those daily distractions. And the sheer beauty of his system is honestly its simplicity. First, write down just one clear goal every single morning. Second, study for 2 hours. Third, exercise for 30 minutes. And finally, read just 10 pages of a science book. That's it, the whole shebang. It isn't some grueling, impossible boot camp. It's totally manageable, almost mundane, actually. But let's do the math here for a second. Reading just 10 pages a day, that is over 3,500 pages in a single year. To put that into perspective, that's like 10 to 15 entire textbooks of complex scientific knowledge absorbed just by chipping away at it daily. That is the exact blueprint for how a normal teenager in Texas learns to build spacecraft.
But hey, let's be real with each other for a second. Executing a routine perfectly every single day, that's impossible for literally anyone. There were absolutely days when Ethan was completely exhausted, totally unmotivated, and just wanted to throw in the towel. But when those days hit, he leaned on this specific internal mantra. Focus on progress, not perfection. He didn't beat himself up if a study session wasn't completely flawless or if his mind wandered a bit. He just made sure he moved the needle forward, even if it was just by a tiny fraction. And it's a fantastic reminder for all of us. Showing up and doing a messy, half-hearted 20-minute workout or a distracted hour of studying is infinitely better than doing absolutely nothing at all.
Moving right along to Section 3, the compounding result.
We hear so much in the media about these supposedly overnight successes, but the reality is always much quieter and frankly much more deliberate. For Ethan, months of invisible, grinding work slowly turned into years where it felt like nothing was really happening, but then the visible results began to pop. First off, he earned excellent grades. Next, all that accumulated knowledge actually helped him win a major science competition, and finally, the ultimate payoff. He received a highly coveted scholarship to a top-tier university in the United States. I really want to emphasize something absolutely crucial here. This was not the result of sheer luck, and it wasn't just raw, innate talent either. No way. This was the direct, undeniable result of staying relentlessly focused and putting in the real work when absolutely nobody was watching.
Which naturally brings us to Ethan's high school graduation day. As he stood there in his cap and gown, ready to finally step into his future, his teacher left him and his classmates with this amazing parting piece of wisdom. Success is not built in one day. It is built every day. Now, Ethan just smiled when he heard this, because he already knew the secret. He had literally lived it. This moment perfectly captures the emotional peak of Ethan's journey, and really the absolute core concept of today's explainer. Success isn't some singular event you just attend, it's a daily practice you maintain.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually do this? Section 4, the 4 success principles. Let's look at a practical blueprint.
We've seen Ethan's incredible journey, but let's extract a practical blueprint that you can start using literally the minute this explainer is over. Step 1.
Set one clear goal. Clarity is your compass here. If you don't know exactly what you're aiming for, you're just going to aimlessly drift. Step 2. Avoid distractions. Once your goal is locked in, you have to ruthlessly protect your time from the easy dopamine, like those video games we talked about calling your name. Step 3. Be consistent every day. This is the engine of the entire operation. You've got to put in the reps with that progress over perfection mindset. And finally, step 4, small achievements lead to big success. This is that deep realization that reading 10 pages doesn't feel like a big deal today, but it is the exact foundation that builds the scholarships and the dream jobs of tomorrow. Each one of these steps perfectly supports and builds right upon the previous one.
Ultimately, the big takeaway here is stark and totally unavoidable. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. Honestly, tomorrow is arguably the biggest trap in the human dictionary because, well, tomorrow never actually arrives. Ethan built his path to the stars by relentlessly focusing on the 24 hours right in front of him. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Think about that big goal you have sitting in your head right now. Got it? Okay, what is the very next choice you're going to make today to start building it? Thank you so much for joining me. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.